students, welcome to the lecture on work measurement and methods. And after this lecture, we'll be able to learn the following objectives. Explain purpose of work measurement. Understand the techniques of work measurement. Discuss the concept of time study. Describe time study method. Explain the work sampling. Let's start with the introduction of work measurement and methods. Work measurement is a series of techniques employed to evaluate the time needed for completion of a task by an average human worker. This evaluated time is called the standard time of the task. The standard time serves as a benchmark for productivity. Standard time is the time required by a qualified and well-trained person working at a normal pace to do a specific task. Any worker who exceeds the standard time set for a particular task is said to be working slowly. Thus, this system enables organizations to get a fair idea of the rate at which their employees are working, and whether they are working fast enough or not. Standard time does include a certain amount of allowance to provide for a worker's personal needs, fatigue, and unavoidable delays during the shift. This is an important aspect since employees are paid according to their work output in hours in many organizations. Work measurement is often also called time study, although the areas of concern in each case are slightly different. Let us now discuss the purpose of work measurement. Work measurement refers to the estimation of standard time, that is, the time allowed for completing one piece of job using the given method. This is the time taken by an average experienced worker for the job with provisions for delays beyond the worker's control. There are several techniques used for estimation of standard time in industry. These include time study, work sampling, standard data, and predetermined time systems, to reveal the nature and extent of inefficient time from whatever cause, so that action can be taken to eliminate it, and then to set standards of performance that are attainable only if all avoidable ineffective time is eliminated and work is performed by the best method available. Operations managers are interested in how long it takes to create an output or outcome, or equivalently, how much can be produced over a certain length of time. Work measurement is a systematic procedure for the analysis of work and determination of times required to perform key tasks in processes. Work measurement leads to the development of labor and equipment time standards that are used for estimating workforce and equipment capacity, establishing budgets, determining what new work procedures will cost, evaluating time and cost trade-offs among process design alternatives. Uses of work management: to compare the efficiency of alternative methods, to balance the work of members of teams, to determine the number of machines an operative can run, to provide information for estimation of tenders, selling prices, and delivery promises. Did you know? The European Facility Management Association, Euro-FM, uses EN 15221 definition. The definition of facility management, EN 1522-1, provided by the European Committee for Standardization, CEN, and ratified by 31 European countries, is the integration of processes within an organization to maintain and develop the agreed services which support and improve the effectiveness of its primary activities. Now we will study the techniques of work measurement. The work under question may be repetitive or non-repetitive type. In repetitive operations, the elements of operations will repeat many times during the study. In non-repetitive works, work cycle is hardly repeated. The example of such work are maintenance work and construction work. Depending on type of work means repetitive or non-repetitive proper method of work measurement is selected. Basically, there are 8 methods of work measurement. They are stopwatch time study, synthesis, predetermined motion time system, PMTS, analytical estimating. Stopwatch time study. Stopwatch time study makes direct observations by means of a simple stopwatch measuring, generally to the precision of 0.01 minute. The observation equipment consists of the stopwatch, the recording board, the observation sheet, and a pencil. The steps involved in such a study are: subdivide the job into observable and distinct elements, choose acceptable operators for study, make direct observations of the work elements while the operator is actually performing the job, and record the time of each element. Synthesis. This synthesis technique is used where standard time is computed by adding various elemental times which constitutes the work. Standard data is available for most of the known elemental operations, such as for preparatory, setting, manipulating, removing, clearing, tool positioning, holding, and tightening. Predetermined motion time system, PMTS. It is defined as a work measurement technique by which normal times are established for basic human motion, and these time values are used to build up the time for a job at a defined level of performance. Analytical estimating. This technique is used to determine the time values for jobs having long and non-repetitive operations. The time values are determined by using synthetic data or on the basis of past experience of the work study, when no synthetic of standard data is available. It is essential that the estimator must have adequate experience of estimating, motion study, time study, and the use of standard data. Comparative estimating. A work measurement technique in which the time for a job is evaluated by comparing the work in it with the work in a series of similar jobs benchmarks, the work content of which has been measured. When we want to prescribe time for a new job, it is compared with the benchmark jobs, and a judgment is made as to which band of jobs it most nearly compares with. It is then judged to be of this band, and the appropriate work value from the band is taken as being the work value applicable. Let's know the concept of time study. Direct time study, as its name suggests, is the direct measurement of the time taken by an operator, worker, to complete a certain task. It involves the subdivision of the entire task into the various work elements that it is composed of, and measuring the time taken to accomplish each work element. The total operation time is then calculated as the sum of the individual work element times. A rating is then given by the evaluator, which is used to calculate the normal time that is required for completion of the task. Normal time is defined as the time required accomplishing a certain task by an average worker, working at a normal pace, but without any allowances. It represents the time taken to complete the task alone. Selection of the job for the time study is an important initial step. There are various reasons why a certain job operation might need a time study performed on it. Some of them are: the job in question is a new one, for which a time standard has not yet been determined. There has been a change in the method used for the operation or materials, which could affect the time standard. The worker factor. Employees present one of the biggest challenges with direct time study. One of the most important steps before performing a time study is obtaining the consent of the foreman and/or workers involved in the operation. This is important since the purpose of a time study is not fairly obvious at first. The entire objective of time study could be misunderstood unless it is carefully explained to everyone. Allowances and time standard. Normal time is calculated as the product of observed time and the rating. This time represents the amount of time taken by an average worker, working at a normal pace, to complete the task. Time study equipment. The following equipment is needed for time study work: timing device, time study observation sheet. Timing device. The stopwatches and the electronic timer are the most widely used timing devices used for time study. The two perform the same function, with the difference that electronics timer can measure time to the second or third decimal of a second and can keep a large volume of time data in memory. Time study observation sheet. It is a printed form with space provided for nothing down the necessary information about the operation being studied, like name of operation, drawing number, name of the operator, name of time study person, and the date and place of study. Normal performance and rating. There is no universal concept of normal performance. However, it is generally defined as the working rate of an average qualified worker, working under capable supervision, but not under any incentive wage payment scheme. This rate of working is characterized by the fairly steady exertion of reasonable effort, and can be maintained day after day, without undue physical or mental fatigue. The level of normal performance differs considerably from one company to another. What Company A calls 100% performance, Company B may call 80%, and Company C may call 125%, and so on. It is important to understand that the level that a company selects for normal performance is not critical, but maintaining that level uniform among time-study person and constant with the passage of time within the company is extremely important. Performance rating. Ratings are a significant part of time study. Ratings help in determining the normal time for an operation, and they represent the rate at which a worker is working. Ratings are a comparison between the operator's speed or tempo, and the observer's own concept of normal performance and rate. Issues with time study. Time study has many latent benefits that come with it. One such benefit is that it is highly versatile and can be easily applied to any operation. However, there are many disadvantages to applying the time study method for work measurement. Time study is a highly tedious process, from the start to the end. It involves a comprehensive study of the process and needs to be performed again for a change in process. Taking measurements of the operator is also highly tedious, especially when the sample size needed is fairly large. Advantages of time study. 1. Direct time study is fairly versatile, since it only involves the use of a time measuring device such as a stopwatch, and time is measured directly. 2. A description is provided of the method along with a sketch. This helps understand the conditions and nature of the task being performed, even in the future when referencing past time study records. Did you know? The FM sector acts as an umbrella, horizontally oriented market. It currently represents about 5% of global GDP. Because of its increasing relevance to the core business, it more and more takes the lead when developing a new world of work and new ways of working. It is a highly efficient system through which needed information can be obtained in less time and at a lower cost compared to other methods of work measurement. It is also known as activity sampling, ratio delay study, random observation study, snap reading method, and observation ratio study. It is based on the laws of probability. A sample taken at random from a large group tends to have the same pattern of distribution as the large group or universe. If the sample is large enough, the characteristics of the sample will differ little from the characteristics of the group. Samples are the term used for this small number, while population or universes is the term used for the large group. Sampling is the process of obtaining and analyzing only a small part of the universe. Sampling procedure. Step 1. Define the problem. Describe the job for which the standard time is to be determined. Unambiguously state and discriminate between the two classes of activities of operator on the job. What are the activities of job with which, if operator is found engaged, would entitle him to be in working state? This would imply that when operator will be found engaged in any activity other than those would entitle him to be in not working state. Step 2. Design the sampling plan. Estimate satisfactory number of observations to be made. Decide on the period of study, example, 2 days, 1 week, etc. Prepare detailed plan for taking the observations. This will include observation schedule, exact method of observing, design of observation sheet, route to be followed, the particular person to be observed at the observation time, etc. Sampling and confidence intervals. Work sampling is based on probability. Probability is defined as the extent to which an event is likely to occur. It can be calculated by analyzing the fractional extent of occurrences of the event in question within a given sample. The probability of an event occurring tends to get more accurate with greater sample sizes. However, since it is impossible to take a fairly large number of samples, a sample as large as possible is taken. The level of confidence we have of the sample being representative of the population is expressed as a confidence level. Random observations. The next step in work sampling is to take observations. An important factor is that the observations must be random. This can be ensured by using a table of random numbers to determine times for observation taking. At each of these times now shortlisted, an observation is made of the state of the process, working, idle, and noted. Advantages of work sampling. 1. It is easier to measure processes that have long cycle times or are costly to measure by work sampling. 2. A study can be made of several operators simultaneously using work sampling. Time study, however, requires an analyst for each operator analyzed. 3. It requires fewer man-hours and less cost to do a work sampling study. 4. Observations are taken on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis, thus decreasing the effect of day-to-day variations or weekly variations on the results. Disadvantages of work sampling. 1. Work sampling is not economical for studying a single operator or machine, or studying operators or machines spread out over large areas. 2. Time study permits a finer breakdown of activities and delays than is possible with work sampling. Work sampling does not provide as much detailed information as is available from a time study. 3. Management and workers may not understand statistical work sampling as readily as they do time study. 4. A work sampling study made of a group represents the average of the capabilities of the entire group and does not highlight individual capabilities. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Work measurement is a series of techniques employed to evaluate the time needed for completion of a task by an average human worker. This synthetic technique is used where standard time is computed by adding various elemental times which constitutes the work. Direct time study, as its name suggests, is the direct measurement of the time taken by an operator, worker, to complete a certain task. Ratings help in determining the normal time for an operation, and they represent the rate at which a worker is working. Work sampling is based on probability. Probability is defined as the extent to which an event is likely to occur.